Viability of the fetus. It is the important factor that one should know when the fetus will be viable. At any stage, if it is the we think that fetus is not viable, it is not delivered. Or this question arises when the mother is very ill and pregnant, like cardiac disease. She developed the dyspnea due to the in the last trimester of the pregnancy due to overload of the fluid. So one has to take the decision that fetus may be delivered early than the expected date of delivery. Now the question arises why the fetus will be viable or not if we deliver it early. So one should know the criteria of the viability of the fetus. So every day of the mother in the uterus is important because the production of the surfactant in the respiratory system, their adequate amount is required for the viability. If that amount is less, fetus will not be viable. Respiratory distress syndrome will occur, death will occur. So viability or development of the lung is judged by the points which we check it whether the fetus will be survive outside the uterus or not. So it is very important issue that child should be delivered early or not, or when it should be delivered. On ultrasound examination we check viability is the ability of fetus to survive in extrauterine environment. This is the decision which is taken that fetus will be viable or not. If we deliver it early, when we should deliver it early as possible to avoid the to make the mother comfortable if she is already having disease. Fetus weighing less than 500 gram at birth do not survive. So fetus weight can be checked on ultrasound that give the calculation, and if it is 500 gram it do not survive. So no question of early delivery. Many low birth weight or immature infant result from intrauterine growth retardation. There is the one problem in the gestational period that fetus are low birth weight or immature as compared to the time of gestational period. They are not corresponding to that. We'll talk about in a table that at what stage what should be the weight. So the reason is fetus undergo intrauterine growth retardation IUGR, that fetus fail to grow or to make the pace along with the gestational period. Most fetuses weighing 750 and 1500 gram usually survive so-called preterm infant. So 500 gram fetus does not survive, but 750 and 1500 gram usually survive, but intensive care is needed to make them survive as soon as that is born, so-called preterm infant. These undergo complications or early mortality, death may occur. The characteristic feature of the viable fetus are, which we should check on the ultrasound, that fetus now, if we deliver it, it will be viable. Age 38 weeks, because in 38 weeks we also see that although it is a time of maturity, but the surfactant in this respiratory system that is adequate to make the or to avoid the respiratory distress after the birth. 38 week is very essential, that during which the adequate amount of the surfactant is produced. Crown rump length or CRL from top of the head to the buttock 360 mm. 360 mm. That can be measured on ultrasound. We can measure from the size of the head. We can calculate the weeks. Age can be calculated. 38 week. Now foot length. The foot length is also measured, which is 83 millimeter. Fetal weight should be 3.5 kg or 3400 gram. 3.5 kg. That can survive easily. Every system is well developed. Ultrasound measurement of CRL determine its size and age on a ultrasound exam. Gestational age based on is calculated from the onset of last menstrual period LMP. When the menstrual period missed, last menstrual period that missed, from there the gestational age is based. On ultrasound measurement is done of the following characteristics. We advise for the regular or frequent ultrasound examination. So to take the fetus well-being, CRL length best up to first trimester. This is the best method. Best is the give the age determination, CRL length in first trimester, in first 3 months of pregnancy. By parietal diameter, parietal bone of the head that has the eminence, that is the name is given, the parietal eminence. The diameter of the two parietal eminence of the head between the two parietal eminence, that is measured. Head circumference, that is also checked. Head circumference. Abdominal circumference, abdominal measurement is done. Femur length is also important to measure the or to check the progress of the growth. Foot length also measured. And one should also mention in ultrasound examination cardiac activity is present or not, which is usually written CA plus, cardiac activity, that is present or not, because it is also important, that viability of the fetus. The weight of the fetus in diabetic mother. Fetus is overweight. In my time we say look like to be post mature, but in if the mother is diabetic, that is overweight child. Measurement done on the ultrasound correspond exactly to the fetus characteristic. What this means is that whatever the measurement are taken on ultrasound of the fetus in utero, that exactly resemble if that child is born at that stage, which means the measurement, extrauterine measurement and intrauterine measurement are equal. Another question, which is the how to calculate the expected date of delivery, which is the name is given EDD, expected date of delivery. Expected date of delivery of the fetus is 260 days. 260 days or 38 weeks after fertilization. One should keep it in mind when there is a last menstrual cycle miss. The fetus, the fertilization take place at least before that on 14 days, mid of cycle. If you calculate from the fertilization, because women come to know when the cycle is missed, but actually the gestational period starts after fertilization, right from fertilization. So that is 360 days or 38 weeks or 280 days oblique 40 weeks after the last menstrual period. 12% of fetus is born 1 to 2 weeks after EDD, expected date of delivery. They are post-mature. Post-maturity syndrome. Nowadays, it is we does not allow the post-maturity, but sometimes the women come with that history. They are the post-mature. Prolongation of the pregnancy for 3 or several weeks beyond the expected date of delivery occur in 5 to 6% of the women. Women have forgotten the last date of delivery, last date of the menstrual cycle, and then the fetus become mature, post-mature. Such infant develop the post-maturity syndrome. If we check the characteristic of this syndrome, there is the absence of subcutaneous fat, wrinkling of the skin, meconium, which is the greenish colored feces, staining of the skin. Meconium is the green color feces which is passed by the fetus and stain the skin. Excessive weight, increased risk of mortality. There is a table shown that criteria for estimating fertilization age during the fetal period. Here one can see that these are the weeks age in 9 week, 10, 12, 14, then 16, 18, 20, then 22, 24, and up to 38 weeks. These are the given. Now, during that time, in different weeks, the crown ramp length also vary, right from 50 on 9 weeks and 360 on 38 weeks. Similarly, foot length, which is 7 and 9 weeks, and it is the 83 in the 38 weeks, which is the time of viability. Fetal weight, which is 8 gram, and on the 9 weeks, and it is 3.4 kg or 3400 gram. The very important characteristic which are which one should know, that is the on ninth week. I have already talked about the, the different weeks and their character, but the most important to is the eyelid closing or closed, head large, more rounded, external genitalia not distinguishable as male or female. Some of the small intestines in the proximal part of the umbilical cord. I told you that intestine move outside the abdomen through the umbilicus for development and then return back. That is still present. Ears are low. And similarly, in 10 weeks, intestine in the abdomen, early fingernail development. Fingernail development. Sex distinguishable externally, well-defined neck, 12 weeks, end of the first trimester, which is the 12 week, but it is not the very clear sex determination. Head erect, 14 weeks, eye face anteriorly, previously eye face laterally, then move anteriorly. Ears then also move to their definite position, lower limb well developed, and the early toe nail development. External ears stand out from the head, 16 weeks. Vernus caseosa cover the skin, and the quickening are the first movement felt by mother. Head and body hair, Lanago hair visible. On 22nd week, that is skin wrinkled, translucent, and pink to red. Fingernail present, lean body. Eyelids partially open, eyelashes present. This data is also used for the those aborted fetus, illegal abortion, and many time in medical legal practice that fetus is sent to the gynecologist or anatomist to give the age of the fetus, at what time it was aborted. Illegal abortion, to just to finalize the case. So these are the characters which are checked on different weeks. The eye wide open, considerable scalp hair sometime present, skin slightly wrinkled, toenails present in the 30th week, body filling out, testes descending, fingernails, each fingertips 32 weeks, skin smooth, and in 36 weeks body usually plump, lunago are almost absent, toenails reach the toe tips, fixed limbs, and the firm grasp. Prominent chest breast protrude in 38 weeks, testes in the scrotum, palpable in guanal canal, fingernail extend beyond the fingers, 38 weeks. Now another problem is that the usual complaint is that growth of the fetus is not occurring according to the gestational age. Say if we say that 20th week 20th week, this should be CRL length, foot length, femur length, and weight of the fetus, but that is not according to that. It is less than that. Say gestational period is 5 months at 20th week. 20 that is the 5th month. Then is the fetus is corresponding to the 3 months of their gestational period, which means small than dates. So why the growth is of the fetus is not occurring? These are the factors which influence the fetal growth during pregnancy, and that should be rectified in order to promote the growth. Fetuses require nutrient for growth and production of energy. Number 1. Gases and nutrient freely pass to mother via placenta. That is the oxygen and that is pass, and the nutrients which are passed to the mother pass to fetus via the placenta. Glucose freely cross. So amino acids that also cross. Insulin of the mother do not cross to the fetus. Insulin is advised if the mother is diabetic. No oral hypoglycemic drug. No oral hypoglycemic drug. It is the insulin which is safe, does not cross to the fetus, and not teratogenic. So drugs are teratogenic, hypoglycemic drug. So that should not be prescribed. Factors affect fetal growth are intrauterine growth retardation, which is a favorite topic which is asked. What do you mean by growth retardation? Which factor influence it? The intrauterine growth retardation are low birth weight. Average size of the newborn is 2.5 to 4 kg. That is the average weight of the fetus. Average weight of the newborn is 2.5 to 4 kg or 6 to 9 pounds. 6 to 9 pounds. 1 pound is almost equal to half kg. Almost. With the length of the 51 centimeter, it must, or 20 inches. The term low birth weight refer to weight less than 2.5 kg and preterm, born before 37 weeks of gestation. So we use the term low birth weight if it is less than 2.5 kg at that time, 38 weeks. IUGR is a term applicant to infants who do not attain their optimal intrauterine growth. These infants are small at risk, babies for gestational age, they are small in size but may be healthy. One thing important that many times the baby is small and it is healthy and it can survive. Approximately 1 into 10 babies have IUGR with a high risk of neurological malformation. The brain is not developed and that is the mentally subnormal. Meconium aspiration. The fecal matter which is passed is the greenish color is aspirated in the respiratory system or engulfed, lead to death. Congenital malformation, hypoglycemia, low sugar level, hypocalcemia, low calcium level, or respiratory distress syndrome due to not production of the surfactant proper or total or the required amount of the surfactant which is not produced lead to respiratory distress syndrome, dyspnea, difficulty in breathing. Factor which influence the growth retardation. These factors must be rectified. The chromosomal abnormality is one of the cause also. Then teratogens, that uh, there are many drugs, radiation, viruses which are lead to the uh, abnormalities in the fetus. So that should be avoided. Women should not be exposed to radiation, should not be given any drug because the many of the drugs, hypertensive drug or other drugs, antibiotics or other, that is teratogen. We'll talk in detail about the teratogens separately. So which are the thing? So simple idea is that not should be given any drug or which is teratogenic. Congenital infections, rubella, syphilis, that also lead to growth retardation. Poor maternal health. If the mother health is poor but become pregnant, that is also lead to the low birth child weight. That is the low weight birth of the child. For example, if woman is hypertensive already, renal and cardiac disease. So if the woman health is poor, then child is also poor. That is retarded growth occur and not grow well. Health should be of the mother should be very good for the maturity of the child. Mother nutritional status, what kind of the nutrition she is taking. If she is taking not good nutrition, then the fetus will show the retarded growth. Socioeconomic level, that woman should not be in a tension, anxiety like this. Socioeconomic status should be economical status as well as social, that should be good and to for the growth of the child. Cigarette smoking, women also many women which in European especially the smoking and in our the rural area the many women take the smoking, they do the smoking and the alcohol alcohol intake which also lead to retarded growth. Placental insufficiency, if placenta is not properly formed, it does not give the nutrition, oxygen to the fetus properly, so growth will be retarded. Multiple births is another problem. Woman already has 7, 8 children, and this is the number 9. Then that will undergo retarded growth. Or another problem is which the multiple birth, the twins and triplets, that is 3 or 2. One of them is undergo that is growth retardation. The multiple birth is also responsible for the growth retardation. Major growth. Now, one thing is important. Which factor is responsible for the growth of the child during intrauterine life? Major growth factor during development before and after birth is insulin-like growth factor IGF-1. Fetal tissue express IGF-1. Fetal tissue that produce the IGF-1. Now, mutation in the IGF-1, if there is mutation occur due to viral attack, due to drug intake, or due to the malnutrition of the mother, if if lead to the mutation in IGF-1 gene result in IUGR. This growth retardation continue after birth. That is continue. Child is born with low weight and may not survive. I've survived with the intensive care, and that does not show the good growth. After birth, it is not directly dependent on the insulin growth factor. Many times after birth, the growth is retarded. After birth, growth hormone produced by the pituitary gland responsible for the growth. Growth hormone production result in what the growth hormone do? Synthesis and secretion of IGF-1 from the tissue of the body. So IGF-1 synthesis after birth is growth hormone dependent. In the intrauterine life, IGF-1 is directly produced from the fetal tissue, and that is responsible for the growth of the fetus. But after birth, what happens is the IGF is produced under the control of growth hormone. If there is a defect in growth hormone production, IGF-1 will be not produced after birth. So this will lead to the growth retardation after birth. So growth retardation after birth is dependent on the growth hormone, which in turn stimulate the production of the IGF-1, and then the growth of the fetus occur by the IGF-1. So mutation in the growth hormone production is responsible for dwarfism. You have seen that the dwarf persons, small height, large head, that is there. They are not the IUGR, intrauterine growth retardation, but they are the due to failure of the growth hormone to produce, and they does not achieve their height well, and their growth is retarded because growth hormone in turn stimulate IGF-1, and IGF then responsible for the dwarfism. If that is not produced, obviously growth retardation occur after birth. IGF-1 production does not depend on the growth hormone during fetal life because it is directly produced from the tissue and responsible for the growth. Low birth weight babies are premature, about less than 2.5 kg. They are small for date. It's a term used by the ultrasound. The fetus is small for date, which means it is the less than 2.5 kg as compared to the time of gestational period. Such infants lack subcutaneous fat, have wrinkled skin. Next new topic is the placenta. Placenta is the primary site of nutrition and gas exchange between the mother and embryo. The vessel in the umbilical cord connect the placental circulation with fetal circulation. So umbilical cord or connecting stalk, which we said in the blastocyst, that is the responsible for to connect the placental circulation with fetal circulation. It is the feto-maternal organ that has two components. There are two components of placenta. Number one is fetal part that dwell from the chorionic sac. We'll talk next in detail how the fetal part develop and from where it develop. That is the develop from chorionic sac. Name is given chorionic frondosum. This part participating in the placenta, chorionic frondosum, fetal part. Maternal part that is derived from endometrium, also called decidua. Decidua is a false bed which is prepared in uh, prepared for the reception of the blastocyst. It later on separate. It is the endometrium of the uterus in a pregnant woman. Decidua. It is the functional layer of endometrium that separate from the uterus after birth. Parturition. Three regions of decidua: decidua basilaris, decidua capsularis, decidua parietalis. In decidua, which is the false bed and progesterone dependent, and that is prepared in response to there is a decidual reaction occur when blastocysts embed in the decidua. The decidua undergoes some reaction. A very important SCQ which is asked, what do you mean by decidual reaction? Or write about the detail of the decidua. The three parts of decidua as previously talked about, and their details. What is decidua basilaris, capsularis, and parietalis. But this is the one thing. There are three types of the decidua. But in addition to that, in decidua basilaris, especially in decidua basilaris, in response to increasing progesterone level in maternal blood, so this residual reaction occur in the decidua basilaris. What type of reaction is? Okay, in response to increasing progesterone level in maternal blood, connective tissue cells of the decidua enlarge to form the pale staining decidual cell. These cells become enlarged. First thing, why they become enlarged? Because they store the glycogen and lipid accumulate in their cytoplasm. Cellular and vascular changes occur in endometrium as the blastocyst implant constitute decidual reaction. Decidual cells provide a rich source of nutrition for the embryo. These swollen cells, which are full of glycogen and lipid, they are the good source of the nutrition which is taken up by the or passed through the syncytium, cytotrophoblast, chorionic plate to the primary umbilical vesicle, and from there to the embryonic disc. So they are the good source of the nutrition for the embryo. Early nutrition. Deciduum basilaris at the time of implantation, mucosa of the uterus is in the secretory phase, during which time uterine gland and arteries become coiled. Progestational phase we have talked about in menstrual cycle. If that persists, if the corpus luteum that survive by the HCG production from the syncytial trophoblast, so that undergo changes, during which the time uterine gland and the artery become coiled. They are full of the uterine glands are full of secretion, nutrition. Arteries they are full of the blood. Now three distinct layers can be recognized at that time in decidua: compact layer, spongy layer, and basal layer. Here we have shown that this is the uh, this is the spongy layer. In the center, this whole is spongy layer. You can see that this is the blood vessels are coiled. That is stored blood to provide the fetal part of the placenta, and these are the coiled glands which are full of secretion, glycogen, lipids to provide the outside. It is bounded by the compact layer which actually provide the or the limit the growth of the spongy layer, compact layer. These cells are well organized so that spongy layer may not go on proliferating and block the uterine cavity. So these compact layer provide the barrier for the further production of the uh, spongy cells. It is the spongy cell in which the blastocysts embed that take nutrition from these glands, from these blood vessels. In the baseline with the myometrium of the uterus, the there is a one layer here. Along with that, this layer is the basal layer. This one is shown basal layer. This all is the basal layer. That always persists. Even residue is shed outside after parturition or during in the menstruation. This basal layer persists. Spongy layer and compact layer both are derived from basal layer. We'll continue.